Welcome to the 200 movie challenge. And Soto, we're in the seventh week of this shit. Believe it or not,
I believe it.
we've watched a lot of movies and a lot of different style of movies here. So,
We're already
um,
almost in March, man. This is quarter one. So the first, kind of marker is going to be coming up here at the end of March, and we're chugging along. It feels like the longest 2 months. I don't know. That's just me, but it feels like January and February have been just so long.
a lot of time to watch movies.
Hmm.
But before we get into this, as I occasionally do, I kind of was looking over my list, and I think after the conversations we've had, I know I kind of did this before, and I'm going to just rattle them off quickly. I kind of make a couple quick changes. I had to after thinking about this and
Yeah, oh
the
yeah.
conversations we had. So I actually flip flopped my old ass and Terrifier. I put my old ass above Terrifier because you know what. That is my
Ah,
it is a better movie, and I know I kind of where I ranked my old ass and the heat of the moment. And I was just thinking about it because I was trying to look at the whole list. So, and
hmm.
it's come up in like the last few movies we talked about. So I'm like, you know what? I'll bump this up. And I had to bump up Tag as well because I'm like, I keep saying I enjoyed that film as dumb as it was, as absurd as it was. I'm like, so I kind of flip flop Tag and put it above Beetlejuice because
Okay.
man, that movie disappointed. So
The
yeah,
tag is rising up the ranks
it's
after
not
the
going to go
more.
much
Yeah,
further. Not I'm looking at the rest. I'm like, no,
yeah.
because I also looked at some of the others and I couldn't because I know you gave me a little shit for putting Scream 6 over Terrifier 2. I'm just Scream 6 is just more of a complete film to me. I know it's the sixth one and it's absurd, but I'm just
Hey,
like,
this is your list. It's
but
like it's all good. All good. I have some changes too. Well, I have one change.
what's your
I don't know if
change?
you want to.
No, no, let's do it now.
Well, okay. So, basically, I really liked Hell and High Water or High Water when I first saw it, and then as I've thought about it and I've seen other things, it's kind of rethinking its sort of ranking, and so I've actually lowered Hell or High Water to below the menu and above the
Wow.
Northman. Yeah,
So
so
that
that's not.
that's not just like a swat. That's a drop.
It's a drop, yeah. Because as I was thinking about my top, with Godzilla, Lawrence Arabia, Eraserhead, When We Were Kings, and then Terrifier, it's like that feels like a grouping. Maybe not Terrifier 2, but Terrifier 2 is like the second part of a grouping. But those initial four feel like that's like okay, some of the best shit that I've seen this year. And then there's like a secondary tier, and then there's a bottom mid tier. So we'll get into all that. But yeah,
So Hella High Water is now underneath the menu.
yeah, it's number. Well,
Now,
yes, it's number
it's
seven.
it. Yeah, it's going to change because I think I've read. Wait, number seven.
Yes. How the High Water is going to be number seven. My
Oh, there.
fault.
Never
Yeah,
mind. Never mind.
so
No, no, no. You're right.
you
You're
got it,
right. You're
right?
right. No, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I got it. For some reason, I was like because of that actress. I was looking at the Northman, and I nope. I just put it in the wrong one. That was me just looking at the wrong movie. But speaking about the menu, Soto, it was a
Hmm.
movie you reviewed last week, and I
Yes.
kind of wanted to see, and I did want to see, not kind of, and I did not get to it that week, but I did watch it this week, so I kind of want to talk about it real
Yeah.
quick because you didn't want to do spoilers. And yeah, so do I saw it and I kind of knew even before you talked about it, I'm like, all right, something's up with this. And I like it looked like a very intriguing premise. And you're like, it's a horror comedy, so you know something bad is going to happen, but in what context?
Yeah.
And yeah, so obviously they're at this prestigious restaurant. Ray Fiennes is actually phenomenal. He's phenomenal in a lot of things he does, but for
He
some
really
reason
is.
but the well above Gordon Ramsay, yes chef. But yeah, when he brings up the sous chef, and this is where I think he kind of had to stop. So spoiler alert.
Yeah.
And they're going through that talks. I thought he was gonna I knew it was gonna happen. I just thought he was gonna stab him in the. I did not expect that gunshot to happen.
Yeah.
But you know what? I as I was watching it, I did laugh at parts. The what was his name? Trevor. I already forgot. Travis.
Tyler.
Tyler. I knew it was a T name.
Yes.
The Tyler's bullshit.
Oh,
You did
so
text me that,
funny.
and I laughed at that part.
So fucking funny, dude. When I saw that, I laughed out loud because it was just like I said last week. It was a great, sort of deconstruction of the whole stupid ass, people who are like super foodies, but like
Hmm.
kind of like people who I'm not trying to shit on sommeliers. I know that that's a real career, but there's some people that talk about wine, and I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about? And that's kind of like what Tyler was. And then when comes to shove, and he's like, all right, make this shit. And he's
He
like,
can't.
I have no idea how to make anything. It's like, that's right, because all you do is fucking talk. So this is not Tyler's bullshit. I mean, it took a dark turn after the sous chef obviously, killed himself in front of everybody. And that was like kind of the start of the dark stuff in that movie, at least in my opinion.
It did, and weirdly enough, some of it fell apart too. Like I don't know what I was expecting after that, and it
Hmm.
just some part it just did not feel. I felt like it could have been more for some reason. I did laugh real quick
Yeah.
before we get into it. Like all I saw from that guy Roadhouse, like I just keep seeing him telling Jake Gyllenhaal, "Please don't beat me up." I don't know if you realized that actor was in Roadhouse as well. I just kept
No, I
seeing that face.
didn't.
Yeah, one of the group of three, the one that in Roadhouse, yeah, he was part of that gang and he was like the comic relief, and I can't take him seriously in this role, but yeah, what, the menu had some good parts, and then it did get predictable at parts. And
Hmm.
I was just like, when she's seeing that old photo of, when the chef first his job and he's got a cheeseburger,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
she's gonna somehow use this. See, I didn't,
Hmm.
against him, and obviously she did. Or just changed the tables and just wanted a cheeseburger, which what I learned from this movie, Soto, cheeseburger saves lives. So I don't want to
No,
fucking
it
hear
looked
about
good.
it.
It
It
looked
did look
good. I
like
wanted to eat that burger. God damn.
it was probably the best burger he's cooked. But yeah, there were some absurd moments. The s'more scene was hilarious to me as well.
Oh, the
Uh,
ending scene.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think to your point, I think you hit on something too. It's this movie has a lot of great moments. It's not a great movie, but there were moments in here that I'm gonna remember, and that I will want make me kind of want to watch this movie again. It's not particularly clever, but there are some moments that I think were just really, really great.
So I know you ranked it last week. My official ranking, it kind of goes at number 9 at the moment, which is right below Terrifier 2 and right above my old ass. Because I honestly think, like I said, there was a lot here I did enjoy, but
Hmm.
as a whole, something was missing. Like I felt like this could have been a great movie, and I don't know what it is. We're just here talking about shit. It's not like but it was just, you maybe you're right. A lot of good parts, a lot of memorable parts, but when you look at it as a whole, you're like, what
Yeah,
the fuck? Like not
like
even
the
in a good
plot.
way. So yeah, a lot of holes, but
And she was
again,
like randomly from Brockton, Mass. That was a strange
yes.
like scene that was thrown in there like randomly where she's like, "I'm from Brockton, Mass," and I'm like, "No, you're not. No, you're not. Like, you're not from Brockton, Mass. Like, why did that get added in there?" And I don't really feel that her character. And I always say that, did she really even learn anything or have any growth in this film?
No, she just wanted to
Whatsoever.
survive. Yeah, this
She
is
just
just more about
survived.
survival,
Yeah.
because she was basically the hired. I hate to say prostitute, but that
She
because
was,
of
yeah. What do you want to say?
for him,
Courtesan, like Lady of the
yeah,
Night?
because this was just yeah. Which you everything going on in the beginning, like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. You're like, okay, how is this going to factor in? So
Yeah.
again, a lot of things were you can easily figure out. Obviously, all that going to shit the way it did was kind of a surprise, but after that, it was just like,
Yeah.
but you're going to
Yeah.
remember this a lot of the scenes, so that's where I rank it. So I
Hmm.
just want to bring that up because I know you said it last week, and I wanted to see the menu. So,
Yeah.
but Soto, let's get to your first movie. What did
Sure.
you watch this week?
Well, I watched the film starring Shia LaBeouf uh, called
No.
called The Peanut Butter Falcon, and I'm gonna read the synopsis to you. The
Oh, you're gonna
back of
read
the
it to me?
DVD, the
Good,
back
because
of
I
the
have
DVD
no clue what
synopsis,
this movie is about. I've never even heard of this, but
and
read this to
then
me,
then we're
Soto.
gonna talk about it. Okay.
Okay.
Um, so Zach, a young man with Down syndrome, escapes his nursing home to chase his dream of becoming a pro wrestler. On the run, he crosses paths with Tyler, a troubled fisherman also on the move. Together, they embark on a wild journey through the Outer Banks, forming an unlikely bond as they outrun their past and chase a future filled with adventure, friendship, and body slams.
That's such a heartwarming thing, and then they end it with adventure and body slams. Like, all
That
right,
is you just summed up the movie for me in a better way than I could. Because what you just said in a sentence is essentially what I'm going to say, like in a longer form. You're right. Absolutely fucking heartwarming. And I'll say this right now, okay? I am not a Shia LaBeouf fan.
nope.
I don't know if I've gone on record on it. I'm not a Shia LaBeouf fan. I've never liked Transformers. I know that those movies have fans. I think they're fucking trash, okay? I'm not saying they're trash because of him. He doesn't help, but he's got this era where he was like a young kind of like whatever, like in Indiana Jones and the King of Crystal Skull, and he's with the monkeys. It's
Oh
just
God, yeah,
bad, okay? And it's just
yeah.
bad. It's not his fault. He's just putting the shit that he couldn't really do. I liked him in this movie. He was
Wow.
more down to earth. He's a shitty fisherman. He basically is on the run because he set fire to like some rival fisherman shit, and they're trying to like get him and stuff. But he basically just packs up his stuff and just goes on the run. But his character is actually kind of down to earth and everything. And then the way he meets Zach, Zach escapes from the nursing home. He just has been watching this one tape of this wrestler called the Saltwater Redneck, and he just wants to go to this wrestling school because that's what he wants to do. He's just been watching this one VHS tape on repeat for like 10 years. Um, so it's a journey movie, when people go on a trip and they're learning things about each other. And again, it's great. It's great to watch their friendship unfold. Shia LaBeouf again, it was very just heartwarming. And then it kind of just, and I won't spoil it too much. I don't know if you're ever going to see the Peanut Butter Falcon, but
I'm not gonna. I am gonna tell you, probably not on my list. So say what you want. I mean, feel
well,
free.
I'll keep it vague, even though we spoiled the entire shit out of the menu. But it just kind of falls apart at the end for me. I will say that Jake the Snake Roberts is in this movie. So is Mick Foley, um, if that intrigues you. But at the end, it just kind of falls apart, and then just the payoff is kind of whatever for me. And so there was this it's great. It's got great cinematography. It's well shot. It's well made. It's well acted by this guy Zach, who actually has Down syndrome. It's a very like good movie. And the music is really good, but it just kind of the ending just fell really flat for me, and it felt kind of abrupt, and I didn't know what to think, and I was kind of left. How you feel when the credits come up is a really big indicator on a movie, right? Would you agree
Yes.
or
Oh, I
disagree? Like
100% agree.
when you see the first credits come up, it's like that's the first initial like part where you're starting to be like, was this a good movie? Like that initial feeling. And sometimes it comes up and you're like, are you fucking kidding me? Like that's the end. Um, I wouldn't say that this had that kind of a vibe, but it ended and I was like, really? So it just ended flat. Great movie, great premise, but just like the DVD thing and your sentence, it heartwarming, and then it just ends in body slams. And I am being literal when I say that. And it just didn't do it for me on a bigger picture scale. So for this movie, this week, I ranked it at number 13. It's below Oppenheimer, and it's right above Free State of Jones, which I saw last week. So Peanut Butter Falcon, great start, good heart, didn't stick the landing.
Wow. Yeah, that would put it at number 12, but I think that's because your next movie is going to bump it down to 13, to be honest with you. Um,
Oh yeah,
which we'll get to. We'll get to. But yeah, no, you said Shia LaBeouf, and you almost lost me there. I'm like, has he even been relevant? But
he's decent in this movie, man. I wouldn't say that it's worth watching this movie for Shia LaBeouf, because I still think the best, like Chris Pine was, like, Hell or High Water is the best Chris Pine movie I've ever seen. I can agree on that. But is this the best Shia LaBeouf movie I've ever seen? It is, but I don't think it's still worth seeing that much. Again, if you like this kind of heartwarming journey type of movie, it's cool. It just, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't when the payoff is kind of it just doesn't feel like it just doesn't feel right. So
well, the fact that the amount that you have said about Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, the fact that you put this below it, right below it, should be saying something right there. I mean, that's
I
kind
mean,
of like the line where you're like, yeah, this might not be that good.
it's like in that thing where like Free State of Jones is not a bad movie. I just wouldn't see it again. And so, kind of the same thing with the Peanut Butter Falcon. It's highly rated on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's in the 90s, upper 90s, if I want to say that. But it just didn't do it for me towards the end. So that way, that that rewatchability factor kind of goes down a little bit. I'm not saying that Oppenheimer I will rewatch. I'm just saying that as this list grows, there may be more movies in between or
Yeah.
whatnot. Um, but Oppenheimer, I can't put the Peanut Butter Falcon over. Oppenheimer was at least like well done. So.
Yeah. Well, change of genre, change of a lot of things, Soto. Let me tell you about my first movie, which I've kind of teased the last couple of weeks. I wanted to watch this last week. Then I kind of watched a couple Valentine's Day movies, basically, kind of pregnant and an affair to remember. So I was like, all right, I got to get to this. I've been wanting to see it for a while. And I saw the movie Air, but from like
Mm-hmm.
2023, I think, with Matt
Yep.
Damon, Ben Affleck, Jason Bateman. And for those who don't know, this is basically a biographical kind of story about how Nike landed Michael Jordan. Now, I'm going to kind of state this in the beginning. Yes, there's probably going to be a little bias in this, because I love the Bulls. I love Michael Jordan. I still think he's the GOAT. That's beyond the point. So I was like, I'm just curious what the story is about because we all know how it ends, so it's like, can you take me for a good ride? So it takes place obviously in 1984 after that draft. Hakeem Olajuwon's first, Michael Jordan's third, and at that time Nike was like the third biggest selling shoe. Like Converse was first, Adidas was second, and Adidas was the up and coming one. And Michael
Mm-hmm.
Jordan already wanted to sign with Adidas. He wanted nothing to do with Nike because Nike was considered an old man's shoe. It was popular in the running department because that's what it was. They sold a
Mm-hmm.
lot of running shoes. They made money, but they were trying to get into other markets and they just started like a basketball department. And Matt Damon
Mm-hmm.
plays the agent who kind of went after Michael. He's he knows a lot about basketball. They had like a 250,000 budget to go between three different players. They're talking about Barkley. They're talking about Stockton. All these other lower guys in the draft. Two, three, maybe one will hit. And this guy's like, we need to go all in on Jordan. They're like, Jordan doesn't even want to see us. So what this guy does is he goes to North Carolina and visits his mom and kind of just starts talking to the family. Like he goes bold and yeah, so the whole movie's just how Nike put all this money because that's what they did. They took that 250 grand instead of separating between three. They gave it to they offered it to Michael, gave him this passionate speech, basically saying, in many years' time, we're all going to be forgotten, but you're going to be remembered. We just want to be part of that legacy. And they,
Mm.
we know the end. They obviously sold it, but the whole journey was like how Matt Damon put his job on the line, how the CEO of Nike did things that no one's ever done because A, the first shoe had more color red in it than white. If you don't know the rules, NBA shoes are supposed to have 51% white in it.
I did
Nike
not know
made
that.
Nike was supposed to the first shoe that they made for Jordan was mostly red for the Bulls, and they said we will pay your fines because he's going to get fined $5,000 every game for incorrect shoes. So
Wow.
they said you don't have to worry about it, which I that part of the story I knew. The one big thing which I didn't know is in the contract, and this is what led to a lot of athletes. This is the first time they gave a cut of a money to the player. So now, they're like every Air
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, and they've never done that before. They were just like, well, that's not how business work, blah, blah, blah. And the mom was like, well, you said that, you feel like Jordan's going to be, my son, excuse me, is going to be this big representation, the best, and he deserves, he's putting on that shoe. It's his likelihood. He's going out there to get all these awards, even before all this. So, he deserves a cut. And so the CEO is like, finally gave in. And it's like, how much money could it be? Soto, they gave numbers at the end. The first year, the Air Jordan made 164 million. To this
Wow.
day, Michael Jordan still makes 400 million a year off those
Oh, I
shoes.
believe it. Because they're
They
still like
make
in. Yeah.
because yeah, because obviously
Jordans.
and
Yeah.
and then Nike bought like Converse like in 2003. So I mean, the whole story was just great though because Michael Jordan doesn't even appear in this movie because they didn't
Hmm.
want that fake because if they got a younger Jordan, like everyone's gonna be like, well, that guy's that can't play Jordan, that guy can't do this, so they didn't want that you know looming over this. It was just about Nike and how they did it and Jordan's family because the one thing Jordan demanded when they were going to make this movie is he wanted this actress Viola Davis to play his
Hmm.
mother. He's like, that's it, like if you can't get her, we're not, he's just like, I want her. And so they went and got her. But so this movie is amazing, like for a biographical film. Like I know
Wow.
I'm a little biased because again, Chicago Bulls, but the way it was done and everything that I know some things are probably stretched out for Hollywood, but the text and the facts that they were giving was very interesting. But yeah, I enjoyed the shit out of this. It's free on Prime. It's the only place. This is actually an Amazon, Prime Amazon movie. So if you have Prime, definitely worth checking it out. Because I say that, Soto, this is easily number two on my list. Right
Wow.
underneath because it was right there with that Jim Henson idea, man. And I'm like, because again, I was looking at it, I'm like, because it is it is very interesting. And again, I know there's a little bias there, but I'm looking at that list. I'm like, that's what made it enjoyable for me. But
Yeah.
it's the fact that it's a basketball movie without it being a basketball movie. And I know that sounds weird, but
No, not at all. That's interesting.
yeah. So like I
It
said,
almost
I
sounds like
mean,
a documentary kind of a movie though, but like like a drama, like a drama version of a documentary, that kind
correct.
of thing.
And Matt Damon's great in it, and it's funny because the running gag is like, we're a running shoe company. A lot of them do run. And Matt Damon's like, I'm too old to run, and I'm just looking at him like, God, it just. But anyhow, yeah, this movie it is a well done movie, and like I said, it was very nostalgic because they at the beginning they show everything that was popular in 1984, like they're showing the Ghostbusters, I can't remember some of the toys that they're showing, and then you just remember that time and how Jordan just took over,
Hmm.
as an era,
Oh
like a
yeah.
Tiger Woods, even like a Tom Brady, just bigger than the game itself. And
Hmm.
yeah, no, but that aside, it was so good. And I'm trying to think, there was a couple other people. Oh, Chris Tucker was in this. And when I saw his name, I'm like, oh man, because I'll be honest, I'm not a huge Chris Tucker fan. There's only a couple movies I can, like I think Rush Hour is about all I can deal with him, but when he gets too mouthy, but in
Oh,
this,
like Fifth Element.
I could not, I love The Fifth Element, but man, he was so talkative in that.
He's he sure is.
It's a
He
little
sure
much for
is.
me. But in this, he did great. But yeah, and basically how, they had to do this pitch meeting to Jordan and his parents, everything they did in a 3-day weekend from creating the shoe, coming up with the name, the slogans, and stuff like that. But they sold it. They just looked at him, at first. And I think like I said, it's just weird because Jordan was going to go with Adidas, and Adidas even matched the offer. They're like, "We'll give you the 250. We'll give you like the Mercedes. He wanted this Mercedes car as well. We'll give you that." But they would not give him a cut of the money as well. But I think that's what kind of sold it. But to this day, that deal is what got the players all the endorsement deals. That's how it all started, from Nike just taking a chance. And this guy, the CEO, is obviously now, he was rich before, but he's well rich, 4 billion a year just off of fucking Air Jordans. That's
It's a risk, dude. I mean, that's a once in a lifetime risk, and like you said, Jordan was so huge when we were growing up, in the '80s, and this was these guys' livelihood. They had never even the concept of guys wearing shoes that had their names on it. I mean, now it's like so common in the NBA.
but he was a rookie. He didn't. It wasn't even before his first day as a pro, and that was the biggest thing. Like, yeah, we know Jordan's college career was great. Obviously a lot of people expected him to do well, but you never know. You take that step
You
into
never
professional
know.
sports, like
Yeah.
if Jordan would have just flat out sucked, and Nike probably wouldn't be around today.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, not to the extent that they are. But yeah, they took a chance on a rookie, which was very unheard of at that time. Because, like they said at the beginning, usually they take the money, maybe divide it between three and four. Like they were talking about Stockton, they're like, yeah, he's scrappy like us. He's like, he went to Gonzaga. Does anyone know where Gonzaga really is? No one. It was just a great inside joke, and they're like, even so, but it was just well done. And like I said, it's very interesting. If you are a basketball fan, I would say check it out because, like I said, I
Cool.
mean, there's just a lot of good history to it too. But it's just like I said, I knew I was going to like it. I just did not think I was going to like it as much as I did. So, but yeah,
Hmm.
easily number two, what right under Amelia Perez, because it's going to be hard to top that for a little while. But so Soto, you texted me what your second movie was.
Yeah, I did.
And I gotta ask, because this, I've seen your list,
Uh-huh.
and this is definitely something that you've not done on your list. But why don't you tell me what this movie is? And before you even get into it, why? Why did you choose this?
I mean, were you surprised when I texted you this? Like, is that?
No, because we work for Blockbuster, and like I said, I've obviously watched a lot. I used to watch 7 movies, and I would watch all the
Yeah.
new releases. Doesn't matter
Uh-huh.
genre, who was in it. I literally watched it even if I didn't like it. But I laugh because I'm like, this is something I probably would have watched with my daughter when she was like 4, 5. And I'm like, again, I did watch a lot of kids movies back in the day, but I had some good excuses. And the way things have gone this past year and the movies we watch, I just not did not expect this movie to be
Yeah.
like, this is what I fucking watched. I'm like, okay. So yes, I gotta know why. So the floor is yours. Why?
Uh,
I
okay.
just gotta hear the
So,
story.
in my travels of looking at movies and finding movies to watch, I come across, posts and things of that nature. I follow a lot of kind of film subreddits and whatnot. And um, somebody had posted, "What do you think about the movie Paddington 2?" And I was like, they made a second Paddington? I was like, okay, I was not even interested in the first one. So I started reading the comments, and people were saying that Paddington 2 was like one of the greatest movies that they had ever seen. And one guy even commented that, and it made me laugh, but he was like, this movie made Paddington 2 made me want to be a better man. I was like, huh? So then I was like, okay, hold on. Let me check Rotten fucking Tomatoes and see what the fucking deal is with this Paddington 2. I go on Rotten Tomatoes, man, that shit is rated 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. Paddington 2. If you go
Okay.
on Rotten Tomatoes right now, it is rated 99 fucking percent.
I believe you.
So I said to myself,
You need the backstory to
I
Paddington
need to
2.
fucking watch the first one. I was like, if I'm hearing all this ridiculousness out of nowhere, and I, I got into this hole. I was like, I gotta find out a little bit more about this situation. So I tracked down the first Paddington, and thankfully, it was on Hulu, I believe. And so that's I have that free for streaming, and I watched it. And you know what? This is a great kids movie. It is the colors are awesome. The special effects are great. It's got a great story to it. It's got a lot of slapstick which kids love.
Yeah.
And it's basically about the story about this bear, Paddington, who's from Peru. An explorer had gone there before he was born and met his talking bear like relatives and said, "Hey, if you guys ever come to London, you'll be welcomed there." So, storm happens. Paddington's, I want to say his uncle dies when a tree falls on him, all sorts of shit. So, anyways, hero's journey begins, and Paddington has to go to London and, see what's out there and see if he can meet up with this explorer. He gets there, and obviously it's a fish out of water situation because it's a motherfucking bear walking around in London who can talk. And he gets
Now
kind of,
hold on. I gotta ask. Hold on.
yes.
Not to interrupt. So
No, no, please.
there's a talking bear in Peru. So that wasn't
Yep.
weird enough. But when he gets to
Talking
London,
bear family. Yeah.
talking bear family, yes, in
Yep.
Peru, which is okay. This guy's like, come to London. So when
These are the
Paddington
rules.
gets to London, do
Yeah.
people find it weird that he can talk, or is this one of those situations where it's okay?
It's just accepted.
Okay, that's all I need to know. But
It's
keep
just
going.
accept. He's
It's
walking
just accept
around.
that,
He's
which
got a
it's
red
fine.
hat on,
Yep.
and people are just like, "Okay, this is perfectly fine." People see him as like a child. Even the family that takes him in, they're like, "Oh, okay, we got to find him a home and everything." He's kind of whatever. He only speaks bear. They don't know what to name him. Somebody looks at the subway, or not subway, but the train station, and they're like, let's call him Paddington," in a very English way. Uh, and things happen through a series of circumstances. It's heartwarming. Again, it's done in a very great, wholesome way. It's only rated PG. Surprisingly, Nicole Kidman is also in this. She plays the villain who's trying to capture Paddington and stuff him because that's what you need in these kind of movies, right? You need some tension.
You need a villain. Yes. Yes.
You need a villain, and
That's
you
going
need
to
to have a
stuff a barrel.
question. It's like, will this family like take him in? Because of course they're like, no, he's not permanently here. We got to find him a permanent home. But then the kids start falling in love with him. He starts changing their lives, and the family finds out they needed him just like he needed them. You've seen this stuff before.
Correct.
But it's done very well, and it ends great. And again, I laughed a few times, and overall, I thought it was incredibly well done. It's one of the better kids movies I've seen in a long time, uh, and it was just really a stepping stone for me to eventually open up that door and really find out what the fuck is going on with Paddington 2. Because I don't know how a kids movie could make me want to be a better man at this age at 43. That one comment just got me, but the 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, I'm like, I have to see it. So, as the prequel to Paddington 2, I thought Paddington was very good. And insofar that I ranked it just below The Fall Guy and right above Barbie, which
Barbie.
would put it at number 10.
So you're telling me that Paddington 2 is in our future?
Oh, I mean, I have to watch it. I don't know if it's going to be now. It's definitely in my future. I mean, I already bought my ticket by watching the first one, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch Paddington 2. There's a Paddington 3 somewhere too, but that may or may not be coming out. But I gotta know what a 99% fucking Rotten Tomatoes movie looks like. I have to know, because I know what like 5% looks like.
Yep, we've done a
And
lot
I
of those.
know what 20% looks like, but I don't know what 99% looks like. And I just, again, you hear shit like that as a movie fan, and just, it doesn't matter what kind of movie it is. You just have to know. And we'll see. It's definitely going to be in the future. I can't
Wow,
wait to be like, it's my number one over Godzilla.
that
Godzilla, Paddington 2 and Godzilla and Lawrence Arabia, three greatest movies I've ever seen.
Oh, listen, mine is what Amelia Perez, Air, and Jim Henson at the moment. It all depends on what you enjoy. I'm not, like I've said before,
Exactly.
especially with Jim Henson. I'm like, I know that was a documentary. It's not the best overall movie, but it was just so
It was
good
there
and
for a bit.
nostalgic.
It was
Well,
there
it's
for a
still
bit.
top three. Yeah, I mean, it's still really good. And like I said, anyone that grew up with them needs to see that. But beside the point, yes, I would love to see Paddington 2 take over the top of your list. We'll see.
We'll see. It's gonna happen though. It's gonna be watched this year.
My God. Yep, I did not expect you to go this route. I mean, I thought about some kind of family movies and Disney Plus. I just haven't hit it, but Paddington.
Hmm.
I don't know why I laughed when that came out. I had to reread this. I'm like, is this spelled correctly? Is this supposed to be a different movie?
I
Like,
mean, do you like British like you like British humor
I
and
do.
stuff,
I
right?
definitely do. Yes, I do.
Doctor Who
So
fan as you are.
yes.
So if you like British culture and that's your vibe, this is a perfectly fine kids movie. It's perfectly fine. I mean, I don't know if I would watch this sober again, but it's if you're watching this with a kid or even fuck like Keely or anything like that, it's like yeah, it's good.
Hmm. All right. I will have to think about that. I don't know if I'll ever get
We'll
around
see.
to Paddington, but
Exactly, getting around to it. Yeah, you would have rented this at Blockbuster if you still worked
oh
there.
hell yeah! Because like I rented everything at Blockbuster. You get the free rentals. You're just like fuck it. You got to tell the customers what the movies are about.
People
Especially if
would have
Kayla
asked
was
for
a
this
kid.
every fucking
I
Friday.
100% yes. Um, so Soto, I do have one more movie. I know I saw the menu earlier this week, so I did not know if I'd get to two fresh ones. But earlier today, I was just through on Netflix, and actually
You
no,
snuck in a note.
excuse me. I went to Tubi because I was like, you know what? Let's see if I can
Tubi.
find. Originally, my thought was to go to Tubi to find a movie possibly worse than Under the Bed. I'm like, find
Oh
me a 90
God, why would
minute
you do that to yourself?
because it's hilarious and I want to. You never know. You could find a gem, but after
Sure,
that,
yeah.
that's kind of where I was at. But then something popped up that has been on my radar, and again, kind of like I've said with Clerks 3, I forgot this existed. Um, I had to watch Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Yeah, what
Have you
is
seen
this?
this?
Like, no, because I've seen. I think the last one I saw was Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back,
From
way back in the
2001,
day.
correct.
Yeah,
Uh,
like which like had Mark Hamill in it, and there was that movie was fucking hilarious.
so, all
It's one of
right.
my
So,
favorite Kevin Smith movies.
I wish I would have rewatched that a little bit because it's been so long since I've seen it. But so what Reboot is, outside of making fun of Reboot, obviously Jay and Silent Bob, and this takes place before Clerks 3 because I know I saw Clerks 3 earlier this year. So timetable wise, and yeah. So what happens is Jay and Silent Bob are just basically living the same lives they always lived,
Hmm.
but what happens is they're taken to court. Now, obviously, if you remember in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, they were trying to ruin the movie Blunt Man and Chronic because it was using their
Yeah.
likeliness. So it failed, and they're doing a reboot of Blunt Man and Chronic, making Chronic a female this time around.
Oh
But
no.
that's kind of beside the point. But so they're in court, and in an accident, because obviously they don't read the fine print, because of this reboot, they can't go by the names Jay and Silent Bob anymore because now Bluntman and Chronic need to own the rights to those names because they're the real life people of Bluntman. It's obviously absurd, but I'm just trying to quickly explain this.
Hmm.
So Jay and Silent Bob have to go back to Hollywood to stop the reboot from being made.
Oh my
uh,
God.
and along the way, so I don't want to say too much because there is a couple of surprises in this that I kind of want to stay away from. But obviously, a lot of characters in the Jay and Silent Bob universe come back. Brody from
Sure.
Mallrats, Ben Affleck from Chasing Amy. I already forget his name. So
Was
obviously, because
Tracy
these
Morgan in this? Just yes or no?
no Tracy Morgan. No
Okay.
Tracy Morgan. But it's funny because, again, in a meta kind of way, Kevin Smith not only plays Silent Bob, he plays himself being the director of Blunt Man and Chronic. So he's kind of poking fun of himself because he's like, he's even saying, like, a cash grab. Who doesn't want to do reboots? Reboots are, difference between remakes and reboots. Get people to pay the same price for the same movie. And
Oh my
obviously,
God.
tongue in
Yeah,
cheek
it's
of what's
great.
happening. And if you loved Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, I think you
I
need to
did.
see the reboot. And there's a couple, like even Shannon Elizabeth, who I forgot was in
Oh wow.
They bring her back. There's a few fun cameos. So it did get kind of old. As I said with Clerks 3, I felt that was a very good ending to the Clerks characters because obviously I know Jay and Silent Bob are part of that, but just that universe,
Hmm.
they gave it a great conclusion because again, I don't think Clerks 2, though funny, was a good conclusion. This almost seems to rehash a lot of stuff. So from Jan that I could remember. So yeah, some parts I laughed at, but overall, it wasn't too much new, but I did enjoy it. That makes sense, because obviously, again, the nostalgia kicked in. But if you get a chance, yeah, it's on Tubi, Soto. I would say check it out because there's a couple surprises I just don't want to ruin for anyone story wise because I think you should see it because you love
Hmm.
Jay and Silent. But I would recommend maybe seeing that first if you have time to see this. I don't know how
Just
it's
to
in.
refresh my
Yeah,
memory.
because I mean, you might have watched it more than I did. I don't
I
think I
watched it in
watched.
college, which was like 25 years ago.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it came out in 2001.
Hmm.
So I have not watched it since then. So again, watching this brought back some things. You're like, oh yeah, I remember this character. I remember this. Do you need to see it? Probably not. You don't need to. I just think it might help. But like I said, it, I didn't enjoy it as much as Clerks 3, uh, but I did laugh at some parts because it's just Jay and Silent Bob being Jay and Silent Bob. Though it was weird seeing Jay just being our our age, basically still being the same character. Part of me is like, there comes a time. It's one thing when you're like in your early 20s saying these stupid shit. It's another thing when you're in the 40s and almost 50. Like, okay, maybe this is a little bit much, but it was dumb fun, and that's all I needed. Um, so in a weird way, it's in the middle of my list. It's right underneath Terrifier 2, but I am actually going to put this above the menu. So it's going to kind of
Mm.
nestle there in the new, number 11 spot. But that's kind of where it's at right now. It's just right in the middle. It was definitely worth a watch. I don't think I'll ever go back and watch this, though I will go back and watch Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I do kind of want to see that again because it has been a while, but it definitely I just don't want to ruin for you. I hope you do see it so we can talk a little bit more about it. But yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
But
interested for sure. Probably
Yeah.
Dogma still the best movie though, right?
Oh, 100%. I still think Dogma's
Yeah.
the best Kevin Smith one he's done.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just trying to think. Yes, I mean, I enjoyed them all. I loved, obviously Clerks. I mentioned that before. Mallrats was a great movie. Even Chasing Amy. He's up until Jay and Silent. His first five, before Clerks 2 were great, and then he did like the Cop Out and the Tracy Morgan, which he pokes
Yeah.
fun at himself at that. It's like, how did he direct this? Um, so I give him credit for, making fun of himself, knowing where he failed. And I don't want to say failed, but the movies that failed in his filmography. But yeah, to
Mhm.
me, the first five, to me, it's like see those, then go to Clerks 2, then go to this, and then the reboot, then go to Clerks 3. Anything else Kevin Smith's done, I don't think I've liked one thing outside of that. Um, yeah. But yeah, definitely say
Kevin
it's Soto.
Smith.
I think because you like Jay and Silent Bob, you should kind of see this one. I'm not saying right away, but you should put this on your radar, and it's on Tubi. So, but
Nice. Zach and Miri make a porno. I forgot that was him.
oh yeah, I kind of vaguely remember that one. That was Seth Rogen. I forget
Yeah.
who Elizabeth Hurley was that? No, Elizabeth
No, that's
Banks.
the other one.
Banks. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes, you
yeah.
got it.
She was the. I-
The
If I
Jersey
remember
Girl.
correctly, oh yeah, he makes fun of Jersey Girl a lot in this. A lot in this.
Awesome.
Uh, but yeah, like I said, it isn't bad. I probably won't go back and watch this again. But you are correct. Dogma is the best thing Kevin Smith has done, and I will say this. Yeah, Matt Damon makes a fun little cameo as Loki in it too. That's not gonna. That's
Oh,
not that doesn't ruin anything. But I don't. There's one major plot thing I don't want to tell you in case you see it, because obviously they do bring back a lot of cameos. But Matt Damon is in it as Loki for a very brief moment. So
that's kind of cool.
and it's just funny when like Jay and Silent Bob are trying to explain the events of like almost the first five movies and the things they've done to other people. Cause then you just hear absurd like, yeah, we had to fight these fallen angels and we met God. It kind of looks like Alanis Morissette and this and that, and we did this and then
That's
and then
right.
we had and so they kind of just talk all the shit. You're like, yeah, you know what? These movies are crazy, but they're fun. But yes, if you're a Jay and Silent Bob fan, at least see the reboot. You probably won't like it as much as the early work, but it's definitely worth the watch. But it's not
Awesome.
as memorable as some of the earlier stuff. So, so what's in your future? This is it. We know Paddington 2 is happening. Is there
Yeah,
any movies
Paddington
that you feel you're
2.
gonna know?
I don't think we're ready for the Notebook.
Ooh,
I don't think that's gonna happen. There's an older movie that I admittedly have not seen. One of Quentin Tarantino's favorite movies of all time, which is called the movie Bringing Up Baby. I have not seen this, uh, and I'm gonna watch that. I don't know. There's a lot of them. There's still some classics that I haven't seen. I still want to see Don't Look Up. It's the Leonardo DiCaprio movie about the asteroid hitting the Earth. It seems pretty appropriate, but every time I look at it and it says 2 hours and 23 minutes, I'm like, I don't have time for this. Despite watching Free State of fucking Jones, I didn't have time for Don't Look Up. I don't know. I'm not ready for Paddington 2 because it's like I feel like it has to have some space.
let it
Because I don't
simmer for
really
a little bit.
do, yeah, I don't really do a lot of kids movies, so I'm not saying I'm not a fan of them. I just don't. When I'm like looking for a movie, if I'm like in a mood for a movie, I'm usually like martial arts or action or something that I've heard is really good, or scary movies. Children's or kids movies doesn't really fall on that list. So, but we'll see if Paddington 2 indeed makes me feel like I want to be a better man. I'm very curious about this.
I need to know the answer to that. More or less, I need to know the answer to why that comment was there. Just I gotta
Oh
know.
God,
So.
it's great. Oh, it's great. Yeah, exactly. Now I gotta know. I gotta know now. That's it.
I never thought that Paddington Bear would be on this journey, but here we are. So, anyhow, that will do it for episode 7 of the 200 movie challenge. Yeah, I don't know what I'm watching, in the next couple weeks. A lot of times I just flip on a streaming service and be like, this is it. So I have a feeling,
Yeah.
Soto. I have a strong feeling in the next couple weeks, I am going to watch a shit movie, and the question will be, is it worse than Under the Bed? I think I need to go there. I figure in once every couple months, just
Yeah.
find that movie and just
Yep.
we'll see. And I do like the idea that we pick each other's movies maybe one week, but we'll get to that because there
Yeah.
has to be certain rules, which we will
Coming
talk
soon.
about coming soon. But I already have one for you. That if it's can still be free, 100% you're doing it. So anyhow, let us know any movies that we should see as long as it's free and we haven't seen it, we will review it. But yeah, 32 movies down and about what 168 to go. So
Yeah.
here we are
On our way.
mid-February, so we'll see. We should get there. So, but until next time, go watch Paddington 2. Make yourself a better man.
Yeah. Just hit play on that shit.